This is a very casual video, and my flavor and style is pretty much very particularly, no one else is doing it in such a way with the notion and the theme that not only says the meaning and the explanation of it, but the energy of giving you direct truth. More emphasis on that, of course. And it's also me saying I'm not perfect either, you know? I'm still in the practice of, getting out of human emotions and feelings, of course. But within the recognition and the practice of that, that's the first step to go beyond that and to get out of the lower octave of that, of those human emotions and feelings. And that's irrespective to your status and to your society status and to literally your spiritual to physiological status, pretty much. And that's just what that's what it is on a real, like, organic level. So with that being said, I'm just seeing like the different types of literal range that you can't necessarily speak yourself out of. I mean, that's a start, but the speaking yourself out of and the false representations and the false digital representations, no matter how tech savvy it is, you can't escape your own, like, your own destiny. You can't escape your own density. So with me giving the direct truth for like underground for like, since who knows how long, it doesn't really matter, but to someone, to something that could be, relevant to to a different purpose of balance, it could be, but that's not the point. The video of this is, I'm coming very casually to make a distinction, regardless of the titles and regardless of the people who have the feelings of the titles. Whether you like it or not, they're still in different fields. How we use a definition and a meaning, they're still in different fields. It's either going towards detrimental digitality or the supreme opposite of that. So it's like when I say, like, that I'm the original meta, that it's not necessarily for like an argument. It's just like it's a thing on it's a thing on a different space time and time space completely. For me to say that I'm the open source meta, that mean I have to, obviously, like within a public speaking class, one of the four notions is define your terms. And within defining your terms, may the particular definition of open source be updated, because it's not just like a fluffy, fanciful, let's give everything to everybody term. No, it's seeing like how it was originally used, crafted, and how it's an ongoing thing for everybody to use that as a concept of energy. And I'm also the non-corrupt meta. I'm also the more transparent meta. I'm also the more quote unquote constructive open source end quote meta. I'm also the original meta, without the argument and without people being in their, detrimental feelings, emotions, belief systems, mindsets, and most importantly, all of that and other stuff and other associations and affiliations concentrating and consolidating into something of an illusion. And all my underground content, whether you choose to balancedly work with me in the future, however you do, I'm not initiating, I'm informing. Then you eventually, the direct truth, you could have a relationship with that, because God is not a person just per se. It could be, but it's more so a phenomena of direct truth, of what preserves the direct truth, of the ability and the support to constructively transform and have the intelligence to recognize, detrimental, corrupt factions using titles from original spiritual predecessors. They have no idea where they came from, and they're using it for a temporal amount of time in their short lifespan of their terminality within their life, and they're going on off of a system that's corrupt and it's breaking down. So it's not me to argue or not argue for what that is. I'm just clearly saying the pure truth of it. So I understand, because like I was like, because I was recognizing like how that is always happening, you know, like you could like eventually the system that you're using within seeing how it connects to deeper, you know, esoteric systems, then you could see how the faction of the ooh the memory. I need to make this one quick because the new phone gave me a memory flash. So or a memory you know, alert screen. So this is a very casual video pretty much. So I'm gonna have to wrap this up because I didn't delete the two earlier bigger videos, and I guess it's just kind of timing me. But within wherever we're finally realizing what we're in as far as a earth plane as it is, and as far as a system in transit and transformation, that is connected to other, you know, other deeper, you know, spiritual root systems. And as it's connected to different spiritual root systems, the original titles are coming from that and already being used in a different way, and from all the different layers that are, you know, that are kind of like the ladder effect of that, we get lost in their filtering systems of how eventually some of it point towards corruption, delusion, detrimentality, and fragmentation, which ultimately leads to collective confusion. So it's not about me arguing for the titles or not arguing. I'm just saying what the clear truth is. And I'm saying it casually, and I'm recognizing how, regardless of the system they're, you know, with, how, like, ultimately, like, you know, like, are you really like fit to maintain that if you're like in detrimental emotions and feelings, and you're having detrimental reactions to real world problems and beyond? Because the real world problems and beyond is the real change that's happening, and how you have a lack of adaptability with that change, and how you're still subscribing with your attention to do detrimental agendas, you know, like, you know, the original meta on a different level, it recognizes how there's an alternative for the quote unquote brain chip, end quote. And I'm saying this with neutral, no bias. Like, for me to say it, it's not necessarily brave, it's just intelligent, because you're bringing it up, you're talking about it, you're responding it, and you're trying to like somehow have a reaction to an intelligent response. That's shady as fuck. And that's like the founding fathers would like, you know, slap y'all for like thinking like how we're thinking like y'all, that, because it's like America, on one secret notion, it's predicated off the liberty, or not secret notion, but the notion is predicated off of liberty. So the founding fathers would probably like slap some of y'all, and that's just the real truth of it. But I'm not saying it to anybody to anybody directly, but if the shoe fits, you know who you are, you know, like what shadow work you've done or lack thereof. So this is a very casual video of just representing the real original meta, despite the fucking corrupt systems that, you know, that fucking just take titles from their original place, and they're using it just because they're immature, and they just want to fucking use it because they're immature, and they're totally misrepresenting it. And how are they totally misrepresenting it? They're inverting it, basically. So it's an inversion. So whether, regardless of the outcome and the discussion and the argument of the titles here, it doesn't really matter, because on a different level, it's already operating like that, using that quote unquote title in a different original way, in a different arrangement, and it probably looks differently. But the meaning and the birthing of that word, I'm just trying to tell you where it spiritually came from and the spiritual associations with it. So like, it's not, I'm not flunked out in my detrimental lower octave emotional and feelings for me to be like, okay, you guys replicate and regurgitate this shit. Okay. But if you don't see the contradiction within what you're doing, that's your lack of intelligence. 6 years plus consistent of offline and online content. Thank you. Have the best life ever.